So I'm gonna get some like lead-in footage that I can cut at the beginning and the end, is what I'm doing right now. You two look fabulous. All right, so Hope and Mackenzie, I was wondering if you two could just tell me a little bit about what your journey has been. And Mackenzie, you've written an amazing blog that shared a lot of that journey. Thank you for doing that, because you were open and vulnerable and real, and it was amazing. So our readers will get to read that and read about your journey from your perspective and what that was like from the beginning to where you are today. But I was wondering if just you two together, because although you've been on this journey together, having a mom's lens and then the student going through it lens, if you could just share a little bit about what got you to where you are today, happy and successful, and your journey of dyslexia.
I go first.
I can go first.
You go first.
If I could share anything with parents, it would just be to encourage you that if you have any inclination whatsoever that your child needs intervention services, or you just want to talk to someone and get further information, that you would reach out and do so. The sooner the better. We waited and hesitated because everyone kept telling us Mackenzie was fine, Mackenzie's fine, Mackenzie's fine. And Mackenzie was far from fine. She needed help, and we were in a position where we had gotten her as far as we could go, and she was still struggling, but she wasn't in a place where she could read on her own or study on her own. It was taking hours of our time to fill those gaps and to help her through homework and catching up on pieces of schoolwork that she didn't catch during the day. So I would just say that if you have any inclination whatsoever, if you just feel like you want to talk to someone or ask questions, that you would do that, because the worst case scenario is that your child may truly be okay and you have peace of mind, but more often than not, it is that your child has gaps that need to be filled, and that may just be a couple or it may be a lot. Unfortunately for us, finding out in 6th grade, it was a lot, and it's been a long road. So again, the sooner the better.
When would you say, Hope, you began to have that kind of mama gut instinct of, I wonder?
So because I knew what to look for in students in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, being in a classroom setting, I knew kindergarten, 1st grade that Mackenzie was not learning as quickly as her peers. By 2nd grade, I knew without a doubt that Mackenzie needed help. That she was not learning the same as everyone else in her classroom, and that we just needed to go a different route to connect those dots and to close the gaps. But unfortunately, I kept meeting teacher after teacher who I would ask for help and say, hey, Mackenzie struggles with this. This is something that's very frustrating for us. I've gotten her as far as I can go, and I just don't understand what's next. What do I do? And we were told, Mackenzie's fine. She always hits the benchmarks at the end of the year. She's young. Don't let teachers or neighbors or friends or family members push off that gut feeling of, hey, we may need some help. It may, like I said, be a little bit of help, or it may be a lot of help, but chances are, if you have that gut feeling, there's something else there. Don't just blow it off and think that it's all going to come together on its own, or it's just going to fix itself, because most likely you need some help.
Yeah, absolutely. Mackenzie, what about you? If you could give advice to someone, to a student whose school felt hard, or they were starting their journey, or maybe they were wondering if they were dyslexic, what would you say? What would you say if you could go back and talk to yourself a few years ago? You shared in your blog, you were very open about how that felt in the 5th grade classroom and being asked to read, and how frustrating that could be at times. And then when you felt like maybe you weren't able to keep up with your peers, you were sent away to the library to work alone, and you were given these reading tasks to wade through by yourself. If you could talk to that girl in the library, sent away from the 5th grade classroom, what would you say?
If I could go back, I would have said that, like, it's okay, like, you'll get through it. I know it's hard now, but sooner or later, there'll be a point that reading will be easy, school will be easy, or at least to the point where like you kind of feel like you are with those other kids instead of being like you're being held back or being like a kindergartner again when you know you are in these higher grades. So like don't discourage yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep pushing yourself forward and just keep on going, because if you keep on discouraging yourself saying, I can't read, I can't do this and that, it will just bring yourself lower and you won't be able to do all those things because you've put that mindset of you can't do this and I can't do this. So you wouldn't be getting higher.
Exactly. I love that. What do you both know about dyslexia today that you wish you had known at the beginning of your journey?
It's not really a disability.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that the hard way because some like analogies I've heard of is like when you like tell your mom or your dad or like a family member, hey, I can't see the board, they will take you to the eye doctor and you'll get glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as easy as that. You're not gonna get therapy and you're not gonna get anything else. You're just gonna get those glasses, and it helps you. When I first got told I was dyslexic, it was really hard because I'm in 6th grade. I don't really know what that means. Like, I look it up. I like watch some YouTube videos about it, TED Talks and stuff like that. But like, I still don't really know what it is. And I always was like, it's like a disability where I can't do school very well, and like I'll always be lower than all these other kids, and that was like really bringing me down.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just like wish I would have said earlier that it's actually an advantage, because it's not bringing your scores lower, or it's not discouraging yourself. It's not really discouraging you by just what dyslexia is.
Mm-hmm.
It's really helping you get higher in those grades, helping you get help from your teachers, because if you don't know how to help yourself or how other people can help you, it's really hard to get through that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have no clue what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And you just like shut down.
Mm-hmm. So you see dyslexia more as a gift and an advantage now
Yeah.
than a negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen all the ways that it's made you bright and intelligent and creative and unique, more than it being something that's hard.
Yeah.
Good. What about you? What do you know about dyslexia now that you wish you had known?
Sure. So I was under the impression dyslexia was simply a child cannot read. They reverse their letters. They have other indicating factors, but it was just a reading issue,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily a processing issue. And we have come so far, I feel like, in terms of not, we don't get frustrated with Mackenzie when she says, I need a minute to think, or, I need to put my thoughts together, or can you please repeat that? Or, I heard what you said, but it doesn't make sense to me. We've learned that Mackenzie just processes things differently.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the amazing things about dyslexia that we were not aware of was all the benefits and gifts. Mackenzie was a super intelligent kid, and we felt like that's how she compensated so well getting through
Mm-hmm.
school. We also felt like, that's one of the reasons her teachers blew off that she may be dyslexic, is because she's so bright. Dyslexia doesn't mean you're not bright. It means you are bright. It simply means you have trouble reading. And now that we have sought help on the reading piece, Mackenzie went from really struggling in school to having honor roll almost every single quarter. And, she's getting all of these different things. She's actually able to contribute so much more to the conversations because she's able to read. She's able to study. She's able to do those things on her own. She also has learned how to ask for help and to say, hey, I read this. However, this isn't making sense to me. I'm processing this differently. Or can you slow down? I want to have a conversation, but you're all talking too fast. I want to be able to process this. And once we've realized if we honor those wishes for Mackenzie, whether it's in school or at home, she's able to contribute so much more to the conversation or to the study group or to the idea than we've ever thought before. She would, before we knew what was going on, she would just shut down. She would get really quiet, really frustrated. But it's because she had so many great ideas, we wouldn't give her the time to put those ideas together. And I feel like now that we realize that dyslexia is this processing piece, it's this piece that allows her brain to run on so many different facets at once. If we respect the fact that she may need time to put those thoughts together because she's running on 100 ideas while we're running on 2, she's able to add so much more to our lives, to her classmates. I would just say that, it's definitely opened up a whole new world for us in terms of understanding her and her needs and how she can contribute so much more back.
I love that. Thank you both so much for sharing what you've been through and always being so willing to help others on this journey. You two are both inspiring and full of information and both so open about everything, and thank you. That makes all the difference in the world for us and our community. We're so lucky to know you.
Well, we're lucky to know you guys. You guys have helped us tremendously along this journey, and that's the only other thing that I think I would tell people is you're not alone. As a parent, as a student, you're not alone. If you look around in a classroom, there's at least a handful of students that are there right alongside you, whether they know it yet or not.
Great point.
And as parents, the same thing. I mean, when you go into a room full of parents, there are so many other parents in that room that are going through the same things you are. And if you start to talk and you realize that you have very similar stories, you may be helping that other family. I know we've helped several families realize, oh wait, maybe we do need to look into this. By sharing our story, and we've been able to open up other people's eyes to see, hey, we've kind of blown this off because we've been told our child's fine, or we don't want to label our child. And it's opened up a whole new world for us by sharing our story. It's just been a gift to help others. So.
And it's not a bad thing to tell other people. Like, for me, I do AVID at my school for one of my electives, and there's a thing that we do is called tutoring, where a tutor comes in and you get help on like a question that you don't understand. And when I'm presenting, I'll be misspelling words, and the kids that are supposed to be like helping you understand that, they'll be like, that's not how you spell that, right? I'm like, okay, like, it's like hard at first to put all your thoughts together and explain it, but to be honest, you need to explain it to them, or else they won't understand and they won't be able to help you really get through it.
So what do you say? How did you explain it, or how do you explain it? If someone were to say to you, Mackenzie, that's not how you spell that, what would you say?
I have a thing called dyslexia, where reading, spelling, and all that kind of stuff is like really hard for me. And then they'll be saying like, oh, okay. And you're like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. It's like where you get your B's and D's backwards. And like, it's not really that. because getting your B's and D's backwards, yeah, that's part of it, but it's also words being mixed around on a page and it's really hard to read, or words just being spelled out. You can't really say that word because you don't know what it is and you don't know how to sound out the letters because you don't know what those sounds make. Like, you missed that. And just for them to know that all that is like really hard for you to like put together right now, I just like need a little bit more help from you guys. Like, hey, maybe you should try spelling this like that, and instead of putting them down like that, because when I first got, hey, you really don't know how to spell that, that was really hurtful to me.
Yeah.
So if you know that you have a friend that's dyslexic, or that you know that you are dyslexic, but also one of your other friends is dyslexic, and you know how to spell that word, don't say it so aggressive, because that's when they also shut down, because it's hurtful at times.
Right. That's great advice.
Yeah.
That's great advice. Thank you both.
Yeah.
You bet.